Welcome to this place of history and story. Come to worship with your whole being the great mystery. Let not this house become a religion of show. Let not your pews be occupied by lifeless machines. Do not come here to take part in tired repetition of sacred words. Do not come because of a sense of duty, with the thought of having paid a debt to God, or to perform a task to ensure a future in heaven. Come to find heaven now, to anticipate the happiness of a better world by breathing its spirits, to bind your soul to its maker. Come to worship in spirit and in truth. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is good to have you all here in solidarity with the Paris global climate protocols. We're letting the sanctuary be a little chilly this morning. I'm going with that. I'm just going to go with that. So very thank you. And I'm Reverend Hank. I am your interim minister, and it is so good to have you all here on this lovely December day. We have a number of events going on, excellent things happening. So let me turn the worship service over to Pat, who is our worship associate today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Parish. My name is Pat Neves, new member of the worship committee. I'd like to welcome any newcomers that we have today. If you are thinking about First Parish, there are some welcome packets in each of the pews. Feel free to, if you'd like to learn more about us, you can complete the form and either leave it with one of our greeters or put it into the collection plate, and you can follow up with you. Also, for any newcomers, if you have children, we have certified child care right down the hall. And also, if you need any listening devices or large print hymnals, we can see our ushers, our greeters this morning are Tasha Bella and Eric Miller. And also, I'd like to point out to you on the lilac sheet, we have announcements of important work of our First Parish community. At this time, I think we just have a couple of very brief, important announcements. One from the youth group here.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that might not know, I'm Sarah Elizabeth. I'm the youth advisor here. And I just had a couple announcements about youth group happenings. The reason the youth aren't making the announcement is because they're busy little elves doing gift wrapping for our gift wrapping fundraiser, which is always fun. It's a donation-based gift wrapping. We have printed gift wraps, we have brown paper wrap, and like pretty yarn to wrap your presents. It's what you feel like giving. We have suggested amounts. We can talk about that when you bring your presents. It's really great. You drop them off before church, excuse me, and we wrap them and have them ready for you when you're at church. So we'll be doing that again next week, next Sunday before Christmas. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit cold. But we would love to see you all. If you have any questions, let me know. Another thing that the youth are doing this year for the first time is we're doing this Christmas Angel Service Project. And we are asking families of the church to sign up to deliver cookie baskets to emergency rooms, police departments, and fire departments on Christmas Eve. As a thank you to first responders and people who have to work on Christmas, you know, at a time when a lot of people want to spend time with their families. It's a lot of fun. It's a really great way to spend, 10 minutes on the way to your house. You're going to sign up for a specific place. You drop it off. It's really fun for the family to do. We're also asking people to donate the cookies that we're going to be putting in these baskets, and we're going to have a drop-off location in the kitchen for the Sunday before through Christmas Eve, and we're going to give you more details about that once we get a couple of kinks worked out. But please come talk to us in the parish hall during fellowship hour, and we would love to talk to you more about what we're doing. Thank you.
Hi, just briefly, the UU Urban Ministry would like to invite you all to a really wonderful event next Sunday, December 20th. They're doing the Messiah Sing. So it's going to be Brahms, or excuse me, Handel's Messiah, and then some
The choir laughed. Charles Brown's Handel's.
It'll be at First Church in Roxbury next Sunday, 3 o'clock. It's free. You don't have to know how to say anything. Just go. The other thing is just a shout out and a reminder, next Saturday at 9 o'clock, if you'd like to join us, the Social Action Committee, we'll be out there. We're going to meet in the parking lot. We'll have something to eat. I'll bring something, some coffee. And then we're going to head into Roxbury to the U Urban Ministry to sort and distribute food to Roxbury residents. So please join us. Thanks.
Forgot to add that we do have social hour, we have coffee hour in the Parish Hall next door, so for the newcomers, please join us. Lastly, I want to tell you something. You belong here. You all belong here. Maybe just for the next hour, though we hope for longer. You belong here, and we are happy to have you with us. Extending a generous welcome is a spiritual practice. I invite us all to extend that welcome to our neighbors by taking a few minutes to do that.
Today is the third Sunday in the season of Advent. Today we light the candle of joy. The season of preparation is half done. And today we light the third candle of our wreath. It is pink to remind us that there is so much about which we should rejoice. As we have been doing, we've asked members of this community to come up to light the candles of Advent and also to share some words and thoughts. So this morning I'd like to invite Tucker and Neil to come forward.
As we are reminded each year by countless greeting cards, December in the Christian tradition is the season of boundless joy. And for many people, it is a happy time of gathering with friends and family. Psychologists and pollsters also tell us that some of us suffer from feelings of depression and isolation during this holiday season. I am blessed or cursed, depending on one's point of view, with a disposition that rarely experiences the rapturous highs or deep lows. The biblical joy ascribed to Christmas is not an emotion with which I can easily associate. Rather, I prefer to ascribe pleasure and happiness to small events that surround us every day. Autumn sunlight streaming through leaves of a tree. The warm emotion of beautiful music touching one's core. A hug from parent, spouse, child, or friend. The morning smell of French toast wafting from the kitchen. So my wish is that for each of us this holiday season, we may experience feelings of joy and pleasure and well-being engendered by many sources, large and small.
Mind you, he didn't cook the French toast. Well, I would agree. For me, joy is a simple emotion. It is evoked by well-being, good fortune, pleasure, and love. But as it relates to First Parish, I invite you to join me in a call and response meditation. So repeat after me. Joy lives here.
Joy
lives here. Okay, wait for it. In this light-filled and venerable space. Joy lives here. In the music we raise and receive. Joy lives here. In our relationships as friends, families, neighbors, couples, and congregants. Joy lives here. In the energy of our teenagers and children. Joy lives here. In the richness of our fair trade coffee and mulled cider. Joy lives here. In the potential of what we can accomplish working together for good, be it in Milton, Quincy, Roxbury, or Paris. Joy lives here. Thank you. Joy be with you.
so now it's time for our time for all ages. But before, and I've got a story. But before that, I just want to talk to our young people for a moment, because I've heard about stuff that's happened here in Milton, and I know stuff that's happened where I live up in Medford and other folks, and I know it's happening around the country. And that is that there's been a lot in the news recently about people who have a different set of religious beliefs than we do. And some politicians, some people in power who should know better have been saying things. And those words have gotten down and have been spread around schools and often just made to make Muslim students that you go to school with here in Milton and go to school all around our country, and as they have been going to school in our cities and towns in this country for well over a century, if not longer. They've been hearing, people have been saying things that they shouldn't belong here, that they don't believe what we believe, and thus we should push them out. We should not allow them in our country. And this is scary. This is scary stuff. And I want you to know something about Islam, about the religion of Islam. And one of the things I want you to know about that religion is that they believe that Jesus was a really good guy, but they don't believe that Jesus was God. And you know who else believes that? We do. I mean, we're a crazy collective, a kind of crazy hodgepodge of beliefs here. And there might be some people here who believe that Jesus is God. But for most, I mean, the term Unitarian comes from the belief that we believe in one God and not a trinity of God, right? So we believe that Jesus was a great guy who wasn't necessarily God. So if you ever hear anybody talking ill about someone else's religion, you should you should speak your truth, right? You should say what you feel is right. And you might want to say something to your parent or to a teacher, but know that what people believe is important. What people's faith is, especially if it's different from ours, is something that we should all hold up and keep sacred. Keep sacred. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you a story, a fun story. So no more of this stuff right now. Who can tell me what a miracle is? Okay, grown-ups, can anyone tell me what a miracle is? I'm sorry, yes, other ministers? Yes. It's something, a good event that happens that you can't explain, like logically. You can't explain scientifically, but it just happens. You kind of go, that's a miracle.
A holy surprise.
A holy surprise. Oh, that's good. A holy surprise. That's good. And now, in our religious history, there are the Unitarians and the Universalists. The Universalists have miracle stories. The Unitarians tend to have explanations, but the Universalists have miracle stories. And I'm going to tell you one. It's about John Murray. Now, John Murray was sort of the founder of the Universalist Church in America, and it was his birthday last Thursday. I mean, like, he's been dead a couple centuries, but still, we recognize his birthday. And John Murray had been a minister, a Christian minister in England, and then through study and through events in his life, he realized that he was a Universalist. He believed that everyone goes to heaven, that God is too good and too loving to send people to hell. And so he started to preach this message in England, and they said, "Oh, no, you don't." And they kicked him out of his church. And at that time, his family was ill, and both his wife and his child died, and he was just heartbroken. So he said, I'm going to go to the New World. And he got on a boat, and he sailed over to America. And he was hoping to land down around Washington, D.C., but instead his boat ended up stuck on a sandbar off of New Jersey. Right? Just stuck there, and no one knew what to do. And he said, you know what? It looks kind of shallow. I'll jump off the boat. I'll walk into town. I'll see if we can get some water and some provisions. We can just sail across the ocean. So he did this. He hopped down and he walked out and he came through the woods and he came to a field. And he's walking across the field and he sees a farmer with a plow. He goes, oh, hey, farmer. And he tells the farmer, like, hey, we need some water, some fresh food. And the farmer said, sure, come walk with me. So they're walking and the farmer says, so, like, you know, who are you? Why are you coming to America? And he said, I'm coming to America to be a farmer. And the farmer looked at him and said, you don't look like a farmer. You look like someone who's had a kind of a professional job in London. And he said, yeah, no, I'm going to be a farmer. I was a minister before, but you know, it didn't work out, and now I'm going to be a farmer. And the farmer said, really, you're going to be a minister? What kind of minister were you? And he said, well, you know, I was a minister, but I got fired because of my beliefs. And the farmer said, tell me some more. No, keep going. Okay, I believed in, John Marie said, I believe in universal salvation. I believe that everyone goes to heaven. And the farmer stopped. He said, I had a dream many years ago. And in that dream, God told me that he was going to send me a minister who was going to preach universal salvation and that I should build a church for that minister. And there's the church. He pointed across his field, and there was this little tiny church. And John Marie thought, well, that's strange. And John Marie said, well, I'm on my way to Philadelphia, on my way to the big city. I don't want to stay here. And the farmer said, look, you've got 4 days till Sunday. If the high tide comes and your boat gets free, you can go. And then you get on your boat and you leave your other stuff. But if by Sunday the boat is still stuck there, I want you to preach. And John Murray said, okay, all right. Well, the boat was stuck there till Monday. And John Murray preached, and the very first gathering of folks with a belief in universal salvation happened there, and it's called Murray Grove right now. That church building is still there. It's a little dilapidated, but still down there in New Jersey, and you can still go to it. So miracles do happen in our lives. Miracles that we can't explain, but which mean so much to us. I'll tell you more miracle stories about the Universalists some other time, but right now we're going to sing you out and head down to your classes, okay? Please join me, folks, in singing our young folks out. I'm going to read a letter to you. The Milton Interfaith Clergy this past week, really just feeling the level of hateful rhetoric going on, have written a letter, and it's going out to local newspapers, and we've all been asked to read it in our congregations this morning, so I'm going to read it to you. The Milton Interfaith Clergy Association has grown increasingly concerned about the anti-Muslim rhetoric and violence that is growing in our country. We feel it is time to speak up. We firmly denounce anyone who espouses doctrines of hatred, discrimination, and intolerance towards the Muslim community. Prejudice is a denigration of a person's humanity and therefore absolutely unacceptable, no matter who espouses it or how often. We proclaim our devotion to the American ideal that people of all faith, or no faith at all, have the right to live in freedom, safety, and happiness on these blessed shores. When people in power, or those who seek power, go down an evil road such as this, it is up to freedom-loving people to support one another and say loud and clear that we reject what you say and what you want to do. This is not the path, not now, not ever. It is our task to remain vigilant and strong in order to spread the true and just message of love, hope, and peace, that all human beings are created in the divine image. We stand ready to help and support the Muslim community during this challenging time, side by side and hand in hand. And then all of the members of the association have signed it with our congregation's name.
Love, like truth and beauty, is concrete. Love is not fundamentally a sweet feeling, not at heart a matter of sentiment, attachment, or being drawn towards. Love is active, effective, a matter of making reciprocal and mutually beneficial relation with one's friends and enemies. Love creates righteousness or justice here on earth. Lovers and good friends know that the most compelling relationships demand hard work, patience, and a willingness to endure tensions and anxiety in creating mutually empowering bonds. For this reason, loving involves commitment. We are not automatic lovers of self, others, world, or God. Love does not just happen. We are not love machines, puppets on the strings of a deity called love. Love is a choice, not simply or necessarily a rational choice, but rather a willingness to be present to others without pretense or guile. Love is a conversion to humanity, a willingness to participate with others in the healing of a broken world and broken lives. Love is a choice to experience life as a member of the human family, a partner in the dance of life, rather than as an alien in the world or as a deity above the world, aloof and apart from human flesh.
Last Sunday, members of our middle school youth group arrived at church very early. They and some of the adults, their parents and others, got into a couple of cars and drove across the city to Porter Square, Cambridge. And there they met with the leaders of the outdoor church, a church that serves the homeless population in Cambridge. They were there, they were there with the clergy, they were there with a number of homeless women and men, families, who came and they all took part in a worship service. There in Porter Square, right underneath that strange piece of art. If any of you have ever been there, it's a strange piece of art right outside the subway spot. They stood there. And they came back and I chatted with them a little bit last week about what the experience was like for them. I know that when I took part in a service at the outdoor church, the thing that I was really aware of was watching the young people that I had gone with, watch them take part in a worship service outdoors with people they didn't know, and surrounded by folks who kept walking by, staring at us, wondering what the heck was going on. Why were there a bunch of teenagers hanging out next to a bunch of homeless folks? And why were they sharing communion and singing hymns and reading passages from the Bible, the looks on their faces? It was just more of confusion, not necessarily people feeling upset, but just confused about what happened. We talk about living our faith out in the world, but when you live your faith out in the world, people give you funny looks. They might wonder what you're up to. What do you really want? Isn't faith something we just do behind closed doors on Sunday mornings in these big buildings around our cities and our towns? What are you doing out there? Wednesday morning, I took part in a prayer circle at the Diesel Cafe, which is a very hip coffee shop in Somerville with members of the First Church in Somerville, a woman was getting ready to head off to a place where she could deal with her eating disorder. And so 7 or 8 of us joined hands around this big table there in like this hipster land of people with like, I can't make sure, there's only one person with goatee. So people with goatees here, there, sorry. And people looked at us, and yet if our faith means anything to us, you have to be able to talk about it out in the world. Today I'm going to tell you another Universalist miracle story about a man named George de Benneville. See, George de Benneville was also someone who wanted to preach about universalism. And even though he had grown up in England, his family was French, and he went to Paris, went to France, and he started preaching universalism with 2 friends. And they were arrested by the authorities. And his 2 friends, they were charged, they were arrested, they were charged, they were put on trial, and all were found guilty. And his 2 friends were brought out and hanged. But because de Benneville was of some noble blood, they said, we will, instead of hanging you, we will cut off your head. That's what you do to nobility. So he had just laid his head down on the block, expecting to moments later be with his God. He didn't mind. He said this was just part of what he needed to do as he lived out this faith. And just as he put his head on the block, a messenger on a horse showed up. A messenger from the Queen of France, who said, "Stop. His mom knows the Queen of England, who is the cousin of the Queen of France, and you can't do this." So his life was spared at that moment. And he was sent back to England. He is honored today as one of the first pioneers who preached and practiced universalism in Europe and then in America. He was only 19 when he was spared the executioner's block, but he had already led a very exciting life. His parents were Huguenots, French Protestants who had been forced into exile from France. He was raised in the London court. He went to sea at the age of 13 and had a life-changing event. While sailing off Algiers, 3 Africans had been taken in. The boat he was on saw a small little skiff that was sinking. And so the big boat went over and picked up these 3 people. While they were climbing on the board, one of these men whom they had saved fell and he injured his leg. And he's screaming in pain, and the other 2 there looking at, one went and rushed to help him, the other one turned towards the sun and started to pray towards the sun, thanking the one who created the sun and asking that being to have pity and to heal their friend. De Benneville was so shocked at this event, he wrote that these men practiced the virtues of Christianity, although they were not Christian. He realized that in comparison, he was perhaps the heathen because of his beliefs and the beliefs of others on that boat about people of different race and different religion. He soon came to the beliefs of universal salvation, that people were not born into sin and were not destined for hell. After his experiences in France, he eventually moved to Pennsylvania with his family, and he continued to preach universalism through his words and through his actions. And while there in Pennsylvania, he printed the very first book on universalism in America. The title is The Everlasting Gospel, The Everlasting Good News. So why am I telling you these miracle stories of the Universalists this morning? Because the stories that we tell are important. What's that saying? That the universe is made up of stories and not of atoms. We repeat these stories, we tell our own stories. Because our faith flows from relationships, not ceremonies or creeds or even ideas. Religion should be about how we live our lives, not about a way of doing things. The thing that brings our divergent faith together, our faith without strict outlines of belief, is that here we realize that our lives are important, and the lives that we have lived are important, and the lives of other people are important as well. Our stories are the maps that we have used to explore the universe. They are a way for us to look back and see where we have gone. They are the charts that we leave our friends and our families, maybe even strangers, to follow and to learn from our experiences. While other faiths may be held together with dogmas and creeds, we are held together by ourselves. By living, breathing flesh, by the breath of life, the ruah, which is the Hebrew word which is used to describe how God brought Adam into existence, by breathing life, the holy life, into him. God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living being. We are bound by our lives to one another, not from an outside set of rules. This is the great secret of our religion. That is the everlasting gospel. God's love is everlasting because we communicate it through our relationships. We have faith in a set of beliefs written by someone long ago doesn't have much impact on our lives today. We can learn from the wisdom of those who've gone before, but not from an unchanging set of beliefs. We learn from their lives. We teach each other from living a good life ourselves. Love should move us to take part in social action, to take part in social being in the world. Right? If we believe in that universal belief that we should live not in fear of God, but in gratitude to God, that we should live lives out in the world helping others. We should be moved to urge our nation to take up the global climate agreement. We should be moved by love to ensure that better gun laws appear here on this eve of the 3rd anniversary of the killings in Newtown, Connecticut. We should be moved by love to ensure that our parks and our rivers are clean. We should be moved to ensure that there's enough food and housing for the people of Milton and Randolph and Mattapan and Dorchester. We should be willing to speak out against anti-Muslim, anti-immigration rhetoric. We should be moved by love. We live in a world that is filled with sorrow and pain. And we should also know and teach by right living that the world can be a place of justice and peace. We should be moved to bring more peace into our lives and to the lives of those near us. What did Carter Hayward say that reading this morning? Love is active, effective, a matter of making reciprocal love and mutual beneficial relations with one's friends and enemies. Love creates righteousness or justice here on earth. Love is a conversion to humanity, a willingness to participate with others in the healing of a broken world and broken lives. When we speak of religion as an inner experience of light and understanding rather than an essential creed, then we proclaim that we are all of one family. We are asserting principles expressed in our faith and in our practice. The ideals of supreme worth of persons, perhaps the most noblest the deepest note in our present-day religion is a convention central to the likes of the Benedict. The everlasting good news is the love as God has found in each of us. When my wife and I got our wedding rings prepared, the fellow at the jewelry store said, okay, and do you want anything inscribed inside the rings? I'd say, the date of our wedding. I don't have a great memory. And also the words everlasting gospel. It's important for us to remind each other of the bond that we have with each other. Right? God is not found in any one individual, but found in the space between us, the space of the lives between as we sit in the pews, as we sit in our cars. God is found in those relationships we have with each other. And the closer we come to knowing each other, the more our lives are intertwined, the better we are able to see God in others, and to see God in ourselves, and the clearer our understanding becomes of our responsibilities for each other, this day and evermore. Our second hymn you'll find in the Teal hymnal. It's number 1018, Come and Go With Me. Please rise as you are able and join us in Come and Go With Me, 1018. This morning, Candy asked us to hold up Jamie, the trans, black, mentally ill woman who's back on the streets and who was beaten up 2 weeks ago and is in hospital care. We are grateful for the work of those who met in France to try to address the concerns of all the world. We think of those this morning also still dealing with the pain of violence in our nation and in our world. We We seek to do our part in the work of the world. And so enter into fellowship with all who toil and all who create. We recognize the right of every human being to share in what you give. We would help to make our planet a true home for all of your children, where each may have equal opportunity both for work and for the rewards of work. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen. Let's be in silence for a few moments. The offering is a sacrament in the free church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
He
May these gifts be transformed into strength for this faith in unity, and to comfort, food, and shelter for those who need. And may we be transformed by Christ's cross. Please remain standing and join in singing our final hymn, number 100, in the great hymnal, I got peace like a river. We're just going to sing the first four verses. I got peace like a river. Tim's going to run up to the organ loft, but, we cut it short because of time. We couldn't sing all 6 verses, but, ending with pain like an arrow. So let's sing it without Tim. Let's just sing, I got joy like a fountain, all right? I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. And may God bless you with just enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in this world, so that you will do those things that others say cannot be done. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace.